Now, I'll tell you one of the things that was hard for me to bear when we visited the Holocaust Museum. What I found happening was myself moving in and out between the plight of the Jewish people and wondering what it was like for my own race. I actually had to exit on 3 different occasions. I was crying. You know, I'm looking at film, I'm looking at pictures, I'm looking at history. I'm literally weeping at the abuse and what the Jewish people went through. I really had no idea to what extent, and probably still don't, to be quite honest, when I went into the Children's Museum to see how many children had been murdered. I found myself without any real direct experience with slavery, okay? However, being born in Mississippi in the early 50s, living on a farm, my grandfather being a sharecropper, having an outside toilet and an ice box, and now here I am in Israel, walking through this museum, going to the transition center, seeing the migration of Jews from all over the world, migrating back to the promised land, and how the government and the people were taking such care to assimilate them back in. I was just blown away.
We visited the very powerful Children's Memorial dedicated to the 1.5 million Jewish children who were murdered during the Holocaust. We ended at the Avenue of the Righteous Among the Nations, telling the stories of people like Oskar Schindler and Raoul Wallenberg, non-Jews who heroically saved Jews. We asked the question as to what it was within such people that enabled them to take such dangerous and extraordinary actions. Later, we had a theological discussion about the meaning of suffering and the importance in Jewish tradition that remembrance is the key to redemption. We went to the Western Wall, or what we Jews call the Kotel, for Sabbath or Shabbat services. We discussed how significant the wall is for the Jewish people and why. This also was a place where our religious traditions were shared. Many of the clergy went and touched the wall and recited their own prayers. Some of the ministers brought with them notes from his or her congregation to place in the wall. As Reverend Adrian Starks was placing notes in the wall, some of the notes fell out. A young Jewish ultra-Orthodox boy knelt beside him, looked up at him, and began to put his notes back into the wall. Later, Adrian, in tears, recounted how moved he was by this experience, and he made a connection between Jesus, who once was a Jewish boy here, and the little Orthodox boy who had helped him.